again, all my fellow patriots and you filthy leftist stalkers out there. Welcome back to Angela's Soapbox on Raging Elephants Radio. My name is Angela Box. I am the Box That Rocks, formerly of Twitter, at the Box That Rocks. They still have me suspended, so I actually have a new Twitter handle. So please go follow, and it is Real Angela Box 1, because I guess there was another Real Angela Box, which, how dare you? How dare you? Lots to get to today. If you're not a subscriber on my YouTube channel, I sure would appreciate, go check Angela Box out on YouTube. And this week's article is entitled, Democrats Rule by Fear and Emotion. Rule the ignorant by fear and emotion. We're going to get into that a little bit later. But first, before I give the straw out this week, I have a very special guest. And my friend Dominic is going to be joining us on the show very shortly. And he has a very interesting conversion story. And so we're going to get to that in a minute. But to set up for later after we talk to Dominic, the sea turtle killing plastic straw this week goes to, and normally I give it out to a filthy leftist or sometimes a wayward erstwhile Republican. But this week it goes to an inanimate object, and it's more like a huzzah that the plastic straw goes to. And it goes to that crickety crackheads, Hunter Biden's laptop. So everyone, take a swig of your Diet Coke and join me in thanking the world that Hunter Biden was so cracked out of his mind that he left 3 laptops at a repair shop in Delaware and never picked them up. So good job, Hunter. More excellent life choices from the Biden family. Okay, but before we get into all that, I want to introduce my friend Dominic Austin. And Dominic is, I've known Dominic quite a while. He is a longtime server at Brasserie 19, which is kind of an upscale restaurant in River Oaks in Houston. And definitely go say hi to him if you are ever in town, because he's awesome. But Dominic's story is really fascinating. And I'm going to kind of let him tell what happened. But the way that this whole thing turned around with me and him was one day I came in, and I think it was definitely before the Rona. So it was earlier this year. It's probably January, maybe February. And I came in and I said, Dominic, what's going on? And he goes, well, I have something to tell you. I'm no longer an atheist. I've become a Christian and I'm a Trump supporter. And I was like, what? So ladies and gentlemen, this is Dominic. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us today, and kind of just take it from here. Start with that day and how you and I had kind of had history back and forth and kind of what happened to you. So I'll just let you take it.
All right. Hello, everyone. Angela and I got started together, I don't know, maybe I've been at that for 10 years, maybe all that time. I don't know. I was always kind of the largest liberal in the room, no matter what, all the time, whether it be on Facebook or whatnot. Always arguing, hours endlessly arguing on Facebook.
Yes, endlessly.
Yeah, and like nonstop. And it was just not stop at all. And people would, comment and whatnot. And I don't know. So it started about 4 years ago for me when, maybe 3 years ago. It's maybe 2.5, 3 years ago. Anyway, a long story with my daughter's daughter. We had to adopt my daughter's daughter, my ex-wife and I, and we tried to register her to get her health care. I'm a veteran. And we couldn't do so. And they said they declined us. But my ex-wife happened to notice that there was an immigrant family next to her, like 8 kids, that had no trouble getting their stuff in check. And we were just furious and beside ourselves and whatever. And it just started this whole work within me, started changing me around to how I thought about things. And, suddenly, Trump wasn't the animal that I thought he was. And I don't know. And then I had a personal.
Hang on. Before you get into the more important conversion, tell me about how you started to realize he's not the animal, the monster that the left makes him out to be.
So, okay. So little things started to pop in, I'm from New York and he's from New York. And I'm just, and little things started to pop in. The healthcare thing with my granddaughter rather, was one thing that definitely changed me around to how I looked at the immigration issue. Once I started to eye that a little closer, everything else started to change as well. Like everything he was saying wasn't necessarily, because I used to watch MSNBC and CNN, and those are my sole news choices. And and suddenly that changed too. Like I didn't mind putting on. I used to think Hannity was the worst person in the world. But suddenly I didn't mind hearing him so much. And I think Tucker Carlson, I used to think he was just detestable, but he's actually very intelligent. And so I started watching these too, and then slowly but surely, and I kind of I think Laura Ingram's kind of a beautiful lady, and so I left it on one day through her show, and then just little doors started to open, and it completely thwarted my liberal situation. And and the more I talked about things with my liberal friends, their anger toward me and the vile, I can't even tell you how many emails and nasty messages I got over the last 2 years, but kind of drove me in the opposite direction. It was a super turnoff. And then once that happened, go ahead.
Oh, no. Continue. I'm just going to keep going.
No. And then once that happened, it was just, one thing after another, and it turned out to me just turning my back. I started to realize that our entire platform had nothing to do with issues on hand or anything that mattered. All that mattered was getting Trump out. And that just seemed pathetic. And so once that was made, that was it.
And I think I remember asking you if you had seen Brandon Straka, the founder of Walk Away.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I sent you the video.
You may have, I can't remember.
It was interesting because you weren't familiar with him at the time, and I just thought it was really interesting because it seemed like a lot of Democrats, for those who don't know, Brandon Straka is a gay hairdresser actor in New York, and typical leftist. And he said he started paying attention and started realizing kind of what you did, that all that the left seemed to be cared about was to get rid of Trump, and said the most hateful things about their fellow Americans, that we're all racists and bigots and homophobes. And he started looking at what the left was doing, and he says, no, you guys are what you claim to hate. You guys are doing these things. Absolutely. You guys are the racists. You are the bigots. You are the ones who are denying Black children school choice. You're the ones in bed with foreign governments. You're the ones who are promoting these endless wars. You're the ones who are, denigrating your fellow Americans simply because they don't fall in lockstep with everything the far left believes. And I think, when people like you who have been, for lack of a better word, indoctrinated with MSNBC and CNN, as you said, your only two news sources, which of course, and then they pull from New York Times and Washington Post, et cetera. Mm-hmm. You have no choice but to have that mindset of, oh my God, these people are Nazis. These people are white supremacists. It is browbeaten into you. So you go ahead.
No. It's something that really bothered me during the, it ate at me forever. There used to be two Black women that were for Trump, and they used to have this show, and it was so funny, and they were so intelligent the way these women went back and forth, and very entertaining. And in the way that my side, when I say my side,
you mean Diamond and Silk? Are you talking about Diamond and Silk?
Yes. The way that people would go on and on about them and just say the most terrible things. That always used to bother me, like just eat at me, just like, and it wasn't about what they were saying, it was about their race. They used to piss me off, and I was like, I just can't even be involved in this conversation.
What you mean? What would they say about them?
I don't want to use the language, but it was just all name calling, and it had nothing
Uncle
to do
Tom.
with what they were saying. Again.
House. No. You could say that. You say they. Let me guess, because I know that in the left.
A lot of all that kind of jazz. But it had nothing to do with what they were saying or their viewpoints. It had to do with who they were.
Right.
And that just sort of ate at me. Even as far back as the Trump campaign.
Well, that's very interesting, because one of the pejoratives that the left uses for Black conservatives, as we know, is Uncle Tom, coon, house N-words, and it's just disgusting. I remember when I was doing even Tommy's Garage, and this was in 2016, so this was before all my stuff blew up. Mm-hmm. There were some Black activists in Chicago, and they were showing what was actually going on in Chicago, and that the Democrats do absolutely nothing, and they come along every 2 and 4 years giving people turkeys and like, oh, we're going to do this, and nothing changes, and it gets worse and worse. And I feel like the Democrat Party as a whole has taken the Black community's vote for granted. But at their bigotry is that they think they're all stupid. And like Joe Biden said, if you ain't Black, if you don't vote for me.
Well, it's like when Hillary Clinton, it's not helped by politicians like Hillary Clinton saying things like, the George Bush, she said his campaign or his White House was run like a plantation. What the hell is that supposed to mean? That doesn't help things.
No.
You know what I mean? No.
So it's interesting because I hear the music faintly. We're going to take this to the next segment, but as someone who has been on the left, and for someone like me who's always been political, always been on the right, but I know what the left thinks. And the funny thing is that you, for yourself, had to discover what the right thinks, because conservatives always know what the left is saying about us. We know their arguments, but leftists don't know about conservative arguments because they're not presented. Because if they're presented, people might start to do what you're doing and start to ask questions.
That's right.
And we can't have that. Well, we're going to be right back with Dominic. This is Angela Fox. You're listening to Angela's Soapbox on the Great Raging Elephants Radio. Stay tuned.
Texas nationalist, and I'm here to tell you about Texit. For 25 years, Daniel Miller has been working to see the rebirth of the Republic of Texas. His work has been hard, but his passion is deep. For many Texans, there is a deep yearning, a burning to see the prophecy of Sam Houston come true. But the desire of their hearts comes with many questions. Texit has the answer. It's the new book from Daniel Miller and Defiance Press. Texit, Why and How Texas Will Leave the Union. Texit charts the path to Texas independence. This riveting book of facts and philosophy will soothe your anxiety about the coming change and build your confidence that Texans can get it done. You'll want to buy several copies for your family and friends. Like I've said about this governmental mess, the only way out is out. And the best part of Texit, I'm in it. Texit, Why and How Texas Will Leave the Union. It's selling like hotcakes. Buy it on RagingElephantsRadio.com.
Our community has been deceived, manipulated, and lied to for too long, especially around election time. The status quo is unacceptable, especially with the Congressional Black Caucus, who made DACA their number one priority, the needs of the illegal immigrant children above the needs of our children, the priority of the LGBT community's immoral agenda above our religious liberties. It's undeniable that their leadership and the leadership of their party has failed our community. But this administration has done more for the Black community than any other administration that preceded it. $360 million for historically Black colleges and universities. $100 billion of private investment for underserved communities through the Opportunity Zone. Prison reform, religious liberties that's being fought for, school choice, and a pushback against Planned Parenthood's agenda of abortion in our community. It's undeniable that this administration has done more for us than any other administration that preceded us. We need to change our vote. It's undeniable.
Your grassroots political organization may benefit from having your own internet radio program. RagingElephantRadio.com can help you achieve that. By having your own RER program, you can personally inform your members and supporters of the top issues in your community and grow the size of your organization. Starting your own RER show isn't as hard as you think or as costly as you think. To get started, go to RagingElephantRadio.com and click the Advertise on RER button for a list of prices. Or you can email us, sales@RagingElephantRadio.com. Have your voice heard, have your own show on RagingElephantRadio.com.
Well, welcome back.
Hello.
Thank you for sticking around. Just a minute, Dominic. I will introduce you again.
Thanks. I'll stay quiet.
There's a little bug in my ear right now. This is Angela Box. You're listening to Angela's Soapbox on Raging Elephants Radio. And we were talking with my friend Dominic before the break about his own kind of walk-away conversion. And we were talking about my observation that people who are on the right and who've always been on the right politically, or certainly politically minded people, we know what the other side thinks, but the left doesn't know what we think. The left believes all the stereotypes they are told. And Dominic most certainly did. I mean, he and I had some knockdown dragouts to a point where I was just like, I'm not engaging with him anymore because I like him personally, and this is going to get really ugly, and I don't want to do that. So the day he came up to me and said at the restaurant he works at, and he said, I've had a major conversion. I'm a Trump supporter and I became a Christian. It literally, my mouth was just agape. And so Dominic, I want to get into your religious conversion and explain how, because it's one of the most powerful conversion stories I've ever heard. And I think I mentioned to you in text yesterday that a good place to start reading the Bible is Acts of the Apostles, because the biggest convert to Christianity historically was St. Paul. So that's a great place for you to start. But tell everybody what happened to you and where you came from and how you got to where you are now.
So, So you kind of mentioned everything before. I mean, I was like diehard liberal leftist and a lifelong atheist, and made, I used to be right along with everyone making fun of Christians, especially Christians, and their view on everybody else. And there's still some Christian groups that I have issues with, but not for their religious beliefs. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, et cetera, et cetera. But, so what happened to me? It wasn't a huge thing. It might seem simple and nonplussed to some people, but I was having an issue with my daughter, and she did time, unfortunately, for some bad choices that she did and had made rather, and and I just kind of hit my knees one day. I was like, if you're really there, if something's there to pray to, you need to let me know that right now I'm not going to ask again kind of situation. And I can't say that I heard something. I can't say that it felt. I can't differentiate between what happened to me, but something assured me that I was praying to someone, and I can't say what that is. I can't say for sure that I heard words, but I felt something. And when I rose up off my knees, I was different, and that's how it happened for me.
I mean, it's a simple thing, but it's also very profound, because for someone who's a lifelong atheist, I mean, you're not going to one day just go, I'm just going to trick myself now and believe that there's a God and believe that there's Christ and believe that Christ is the Son of God. And so did you go from, I believe now, did you have like a leap from, okay, now I'm not an atheist, I might be an agnostic, I might acknowledge that something's there, to then you became a Christian? Or at least you're on the path to becoming a Christian. Yeah.
Yeah. There was still, I let my intelligence get it away. That's what I like to tell people. I can sit here and tell you that Christianity is, born off of Egyptian religions, and they changed the names and dressed it up differently. I got 100 arguments I could tell you that are all bullshit. Excuse me if I use that language, but whatever. But that's kind of how things got started with me. And then, I did try to engage some of my atheist colleagues, I should say. And they were just, even as I was talking, I knew I was full of it. And I just didn't feel right. And I had to investigate my own soul, if you will, and just found out what was different about me was that I believed where I didn't believe before. And once I admitted that to myself, then it was a pretty easy going from there.
It's really so. I mean, I just got chills when you said that. It's like I'm not the same, and that's every convert story. And again, I take it for granted because I was raised in the Catholic Church. I have massive problems with Pope, this current Pope. I think he's a disaster. I think what the church did covering up the pedophile, and I have experience with that with a priest that in my childhood, I wasn't abused, but he was a serial predator, and we tried to expose him. So I have major issues with the Catholic Church, but the doctrinally about Christianity, I don't have an issue with. And this is what I like to say to people. There were many, many Messiah movements going on at the time of Christ. Many, numerous. The only one we remember is Jesus Christ, because if Jesus was not who he said he was, it's either he was crazy or he is who he said he was. There are no other choices. And so I like to tell people who might be agnostic or even, atheist, why would you think about the apostles? They felt Christ's wounds. Doubting Thomas felt Christ's wounds. And then they went and spread the word of Christ, the gospel, to the whole world, the good news, the way.
And they faced their own deaths in some cases. Yeah.
Exactly. And they were martyred for it. So why would people do that if it was a lie? Why, we're going to play this great, massive trick on people for the next 2,000 years. And we're going to make them think that this man, this obscure Jew, in old time, 2,000 years ago, was somehow the Son of God. This is going to be the best trick ever. So it doesn't make sense psychologically. And I like that argument to atheists because you can't really argue with that. It's like you wouldn't waste your life for a lie. And also you can't get something out of nothing. So whether you call it God, whether you call it the universe, whether you call it the creator, you cannot, this Big Bang theory, it's still... Even if God can start everything, but to say that it came out of nothing, I just think is
well, no. I mean, we
can
jump on pools of bacteria. It's way too thought out, and they can't be.
Exactly, and I like it's amazing. Like you're on the intelligent design bandwagon, and that's exactly what I think. I mean, I think there is obvious evolution of species, but I don't think we came from monkeys. But whatever, that's a subject. Charles
Darwin was he was on something.
Yeah, he was on something. That's a discussion for other days. But I want to kind of continue on before we run out of time. So your what have you experienced since you've become a Christian and become either a Trump supporter on the way to being a conservative, or however you define yourself, however you identify,
hostility.
Just massive hostility.
Most massive hostility. I had to completely. I don't know if you noticed or not, but I backed off Facebook altogether. Already at the sites that I used to present arguments to and everything, I just quit talking because I'm tired of getting attacked. I just withdrew. You know what I mean? All I can do is really vote as a person. That's what I'll do. And that's that. I mean, it's not worth being attacked by all my former liberal friends, even my own mother. You and I have talked about this. When I sent you a message, she sent you. She's furious that I'm talking to you. And I was like, you're what? You know what I mean?
Well, I hope you send her the link to your interview and make her listen to it. Hi, Dominic's mom.
It's not the point. It's just that, she stands up to say what she believes in, and I do the same.
Well, and that's a big difference, isn't it, between the left and the right, the far left fascists that we're dealing with now, because the conservative movement is like, say whatever you want to say. Let the facts speak for themselves. But the left seeks to censor. Let people think what they want to think and say what they want to say. But the left is doing their level best to shut everything down, as we've seen. So even in your workplace, I know that there's a very sweet waitress there who I won't name. I think she's out, but I don't want to name her just in case she's not. but she's been a big supporter of yours and so proud of you. And you know who I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. I know.
And her husband as well. And have people at work come to you and asked you for more information? Have they quietly said, I'm questioning things as well? Like, have you had any of that happen?
So maybe not at work here. I was in the Navy for almost 12 years. Anyway, and it's more my former Navy friends that have actually come forward and asked me questions. You know, watching me get attacked online has inspired them to like, okay, well, maybe he believes what he's saying, and come forward. And you know, there are 3 people this election round that are voting right where they never have before because of my influence in that decision.
That's awesome.
And, you know, I mean, it's more like my former Navy friends and my former colleagues in previous jobs, not so much where I am now. You know, where my customer base right now is almost completely Republican, and you know, and that turns off a lot of in other restaurants. You know, I'm not saying our restaurant. I'm saying that turns off a lot of wait staff in other places. Tends to be, you know what I mean? Like we don't engage the guests. You know, the higher you get up in dining, if you're liberal, you don't want to engage the guests too much. You know, right. On that level, because, you know, these people understand money and they understand reality, and it pretty much pisses off someone on the left. So, you know, fortunately, our wait staff is a good blend of right and left. You know, we're good with that.
Well, when I'm there next, you'll have to point out the ones on our side. But it's funny. I remember saying to you a couple of years ago when we were having some sort of, I can't remember if it was Facebook or in person, like, I just liked you personally so much. And I was like, I don't want to like get in a big, horrible confrontation with you. But I think I do remember saying, you know, if you didn't have these rich people going out to dinner, you know, these evil Republicans going out to dinner and spending money, you know, there is such thing as trickle down theory, and it works. And I found that the wealthy, the super wealthy, not so much in Texas, but you know, obviously the wealthy elite, Silicon Valley, Hollywood, all the elite Wall Street, they're far left. So they've got the elitists have the far left, and then they have the people who depend on government and illegal aliens. And then there's the rest of us who are in the middle, the working people, the everyday man and woman. And it just seems so amazing to me how they disparage. They would never have disparaged you ever before.
Oh, never. And, you know, even you know, I used to be the biggest media guy. Like when I say media guy, no one's ever seen one movie but us. The one that has such there was never such a fanboy of movies, television, and everything else. You know, but I don't even watch the movie. I couldn't enjoy it less time I watched the movie because I made me so sick of how, like, you know, they just attack Robert De Niro all the time. You know, I mean, you know what I mean? It's just like in the way that he would attack Trump, like just the whole thing was it's just so ugly.
It's so ugly. I mean. And I think that's how Brandon Straka, how he started. He goes, it's just so vile. The way that these people, and they're so arrogantly naive and so arrogantly ignorant. And I think that's what it is.
They're just speaking louder than everybody else, which is, you know, in my view, that's a problem. I think conservatives need to speak up.
Oh, 100%. I mean, the reason the left hates Trump the most is because he's like, I don't care what you think of me. I don't need your money. I need nothing from you. I'm going to save this country. And I'm going to do it by myself if I have to.
I can tell you that it drives them that shit that he knows how to play the president's game right back at them. Oh. It drives them crazy. If you mention that he donates his entire paycheck, basically furious. They can't talk about it. They'll just start drooling. You know, just drowning in their own spittle. And frothing at the mouth. They think that's horrible. You know, they're arguing there. Oh, yeah, but he writes it off. Wouldn't you? Jackass. How can you not hold him? And why can't he do the things that are normal Americans can do? He's one. Silly.
And that's the thing. He's a regular guy.
He's a lifelong Democrat. Like, you need to watch.
I think he was a lifelong business person, like equal opportunity, whatever. But I feel like this is an important conversation to have. I really, really appreciate you coming on, and I'm having trouble hearing music, but I think our segment has come to an end. I apologize if it hasn't, but I really hope that people hear this interview and you share it with all your liberal friends and just say, just listen to my story. And hopefully other people will be inspired to do what you did and come out publicly. I've talked to several gay men who said coming out as a gay man was a lot easier than coming out as a Republican. So I really do appreciate you coming on today. And I will see you very soon at Raspberry 19. Dominic, are you still there? Today on my video show, and
our community has been deceived, manipulated, and lied to for too long, especially around election time. The status quo is unacceptable, especially with the Congressional Black Caucus, who made DACA their number one priority, the needs of the illegal immigrant children above the needs of our children, the priority of the LGBT community's immoral agenda above our religious liberties. It's undeniable that their leadership and the leadership of their party has failed our community. But this administration has done more for the Black community than any other administration that preceded it. $360 million for historically Black colleges and universities. $100 billion of private investment for underserved communities through the Opportunity Zone. Prison reform, religious liberties that's being fought for, school choice, and a pushback against Planned Parenthood's agenda of abortion in our community. It's undeniable that this administration has done more for us than any other administration that preceded us. We need to change our vote. It's undeniable.
Hey, Saints and Patriots, it's Claver. And our big puppy Butch thinks he's the king of the castle. RER Pet Store, powered by Amazon. It's really easy. Let me show you how. First, go to RagingElePhantsRadio.com. Scroll down the right column until you see the RER Pet Store. Put in the product that you want. Let's say dog travel kennels. Hit go. And there you are on Amazon.com's website. Choose the product that you want and click on it. Now you have a choice. Add it to your shopping cart or buy right now. You put it in your shopping cart or you buy it right away. Raging Elephants Radio gets your support. So please, support Raging Elephants Radio, our expansion, our growth, by getting all of your pet supplies through the RER Marketplace powered by Amazon. And we get just a small commission, but it keeps the lights on, it keeps us growing, and it keeps us spreading Texas Liberty 411. You're already an Amazon shopper, so remember, just go to RagingElePhantsRadio.com first, put whatever product you want in any one of the search boxes on the website, go to the Amazon.com website, and whatever you put into your shopping cart, Raging Elephants Radio will get a small commission. We're not asking you to stop shopping at Amazon.com. We want you to shop at Amazon.com. Just get there through RagingElePhantsRadio.com. And let me thank you in advance on behalf of all the fur babies out there for supporting the rebellious voice of Texas Liberty.
Soapbox on Raging Elephants Radio. I'm Angela Box. I want to thank Dominic for sharing his story with all of us. I'm telling you, when I tell you that this guy was a die-hard leftist, I mean, he was not a liberal, he was a leftist. And a very angry one. So much so that, as I mentioned to him, I just didn't want to engage with him because I did like him personally. But like most of the left, he was very arrogant about what he thought he knew. And I thought it was really interesting how when he decided to do a little research on his own, he realized that everything that the left was saying about the right was totally wrong. Not only wrong, but purposefully misleading, purposeful disinformation. And I think this week, we've now seen a line being drawn in the sand with that kind of information. It's like before the New York Times Hunter Biden story, after the New York Times Hunter Biden story. And I gave Hunter Biden's laptop the straw this week. And it is evidently the gift that's going to keep on giving. So let this be a lesson to you crackheads who are sons of powerful Democrats. Do not leave a laptop or three in a repair shop and then never pick them up. And the owner, of course, they're not revealing the shop's name. I'm sure that eventually the Biden administration, God forbid, the Biden campaign will get out that the name out, and the poor store owner will be doxxed and threatened, and all the good things that Democrats like to do to their opposition. But the man basically said, I was scared to come forward. I'd had this for a little bit. He was scared to come forward with it. And now we know why. Because everything that President Trump has been saying has been true. The Joe Biden family, which, Joe Biden is not a very bright guy, but at least he knows how to shake down people. And evidently he and his family have been doing it for a long time, using Hunter, and I'm sure his other son before that. But Hunter is especially qualified for it because he seems particularly morally malleable, shall we say. Doesn't seem to have much of a moral center, Hunter. Anyway, unless you've been sleeping under a rock in the last few days, you know that the New York Post has starting to release some of the information on Hunter Biden's laptop. And the salacious stuff is one thing. I mean, it's not a good look to have a picture of yourself asleep with a meth pipe in your mouth or a crack pipe or whatever it was. But those are merely embarrassing things. But evidently on the laptop are also all kinds of sexual pictures. Again, embarrassing until you find out that perhaps, quote unquote, just maybe, quote unquote, these women he's engaging in with sexual activity are underage, which has now been alluded to. That would be illegal. Also illegal is all the grift and bribery and extortion the Biden family was engaging in with the government of Ukraine through Burisma and the Communist Party of China. We thought the Ukraine stuff was really bad. I mean, we knew it was bad. But of course the media, and they're still running on this bizarre talking point that it's all been discredited and debunked, and QAnon. Side note about QAnon. I've always said this. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's not, but it sure is interesting. And boy, the media has them in their crosshairs right now. It seems strange to put a, quote, conspiracy theory out for total destruction, taking down 100 YouTube channels and purging people from Twitter. And I still have my Twitter suspended, my original Twitter account. All this for a lie, all this for a conspiracy theory with no basis in reality. It seems a lot of levels to go to shut down communication. Again, they never did this with the alien stuff, but I digress. I don't know. It's sort of like when you withhold information from somebody, when you censor information, it makes people go, why are you doing that? And then it makes people curious, and it makes them want to go find out why they're censoring it. So anyway, on Hunter Biden's laptops, Rudy Giuliani, I can't talk today, Lord. Rudy Giuliani said there's way more to come. So first we have the Ukrainian bribery and extortion, and we know now 100% for a fact that Joe Biden, yes, indeed, did talk to the Burisma head honcho at this point. So remember, Hunter Biden was on the payroll, $83,000 a month, plus $3.5 million from the Moscow mayor. Again, who's involved with Russia again? Was that Trump? Oh no, it's just projection and gaslighting, which is all the Democrats do. Anything that they're accusing us of, they're doing. I think that's the biggest lesson in the last few years, isn't it? But Joe Biden also has his paws in the communist Chinese government. We now know for a fact that Hunter Biden got a $1.5 billion with a B loan guarantee from the Chinese Communist government to, quote, manage their money. So he's going to get $1.5 billion. Does any of the media have a problem with the potential next president of the United States being owned by the Communist Party of China and the Ukraine, in addition to Russia? Russia! No, they don't. They don't care at all. In fact, the gaslighting is so insane and so unbelievable. I mean, those of us on the right who have been, screaming from the rooftops about big tech tyranny and how they are coming for every voice. It's that old adage. First they came for the Jews, but I wasn't a Jew. Then they came for so-and-so, and then they came for me. And that's what we're dealing with. Like I said, wholesale purging of major YouTube channels. Wholesale purging of Twitter users. Anyone who mentions QAnon. Again, seems like a strange reaction for a conspiracy theory. And, this is funny. This is how the media, this is what they claim QAnon is. They say it's a bunch of violent extremists who believe that the government is run by satanic pedophile, a pedophile ring that's run out of a pizza shop in D.C. Now, they're holding on to that for dear life, aren't they? But I can tell you from reading the actual QAnon drops, that is not what QAnon is about. QAnon is about thinking for yourself, taking the information given, doing your own research, and figuring out if it's right or not. And I will tell you, all these things coming out about Gina Haspel and John Brennan and Ukraine and China and the Bidens, the Clinton Foundation, Haiti, these are things that the crazy conspiracy theory has been dropping for years. And the media is just catching up. So, take it for what you will. I will tell you that it's not QAnon going around burning cities and setting police officers on fire in their cars and murdering police officers and shooting police officers in the head and robbing and maiming and assaulting and looting and throwing bricks through private citizens' homes. It's not QAnon doing that. It's the far left. It's Black Lives Matter. It's Antifa. So the gaslighting that I was mentioning a minute ago, the other day on Twitter, and again, I finally broke down and got a new Twitter because they're clearly not really, they are not, I am Moses begging Pharaoh to let my people go, and they will not let my original Twitter back online because they're fascists. But the other day when I got my new Twitter, I went on there and I noticed that they had a story that said, this has been debunked many times, and the Washington Post says there's no truth to Joe Biden having any association with the Ukraine or his son. Literally, the Washington Post, they say this is totally untrue. Or that Joe Biden did not try and get a prosecutor fired in Ukraine when he literally said it on video. And he was making a joke about it. And all the fellow deep state swamp dwellers at the Council of Foreign Relations, which is where he was when he said it, they all just chuckled. Wasn't that funny? Dangling American taxpayer dollars, $1 billion of them in front of the Ukrainian government, saying if you don't fire your head prosecutor, you're not getting $1 billion American dollars. Has any of these clowns in the media, like Savannah Guthrie, which we'll get to later, or George Stephanopoulos from town halls last night, have any of these clowns ever asked, how come the sitting vice president is worried about a prosecutor in the Ukraine? Why would this have anything to do with loan guarantees from the United States to the Ukraine? And of course, their story was, oh, he was corrupt. Again, gaslighting. No. So now we've learned that, between the Hillary Clinton Foundation and their malfeasance, now we've got the Biden crime family. I mean, Biden's getting half of their money. He needs a little taste. Papa needs a little taste of all that money. And of course, Barack Obama's at the head of all of this. Oh, I think it's going to get real interesting after the election because we will win. And we're going to get into that and what I've been noticing about early voting and more gaslighting when we come back. This is Angela Box. You're listening to Angela's Soapbox on Raging Elephants Radio. Be right back.
Welcome to Speed Sports Racing Park, guys. We got some fun activities planned for you tonight. You guys ready to have some fun? Yeah. Let's do it. All right.
Everything that we have to offer. We did some kart racing. They were out there racing wheel to wheel. We had this pedal trikes where they race big wheel tricycles around the track, and then some RC cars and food and drinks and just having a great time. If you're looking to book a corporate event, man, this is the place to be. There's nothing else like it in Houston that you can do something quite this cool.
What's up, Saints and Patriots? I'm Apostle Claver, a proud Texas nationalist, and I'm here to tell you about Texit. For 25 years, Daniel Miller has been working to see the rebirth of the Republic of Texas. His work has been hard, but his passion is deep. For many Texans, there is a deep yearning, a burning to see the prophecy of Sam Houston come true. But The desire of their hearts comes with many questions. Texit has the answer. It's the new book from Daniel Miller and Defiance Press. Texit, Why and How Texas Will Leave the Union. Texit charts the path to Texas independence. This riveting book of facts and philosophy will soothe your anxiety about the coming change and build your confidence that Texans can get it done. You'll want to buy several copies for your family and friends. Like I've said about this governmental mess, the only way out is out. And the best part of Texit, I'm in it. Texit, Why and How Texas Will Leave the Union. It's selling like hotcakes. Buy it on RagingElePhantsRadio.com.
When Andrew Jackson ran for president in 1828, his opponents called him a jackass. Jackson liked the image so much, it became the mascot of the new Democratic Party.
Here's how to use the RER app on your commute and get the latest Liberty 411. First, download the RER app on your smart device, phone or tablet, Apple or Android. Search Raging Elephants Radio in your App Store or Google Play and hit the search button on your keyboard. Connect your device to your car audio system. Do it via Bluetooth or auxiliary jack. You riding old school? Stick in some quality earbuds and enjoy the serious HD stereo. No excuses. It's here. RER app.
Welcome back to Angela's Soapbox on Raging Elephants Radio. My name is Angela Box. As I was talking about before, the world is waking up. The world is waking up to all these things that conservatives have been talking about for a long time, like, censorship. So we have, again, the line in the sand. Before New York Post story about Hunter Biden, after New York Post story about Hunter Biden. They pulled down every single link they could. They froze Kayleigh McEnany's account. They pulled down a tweet from President Trump. President Trump tweeted out something this week. And again, I'm going to give the caveat if I don't know if this is true or not. And Trump was actually asked about this last night at the town hall from I call her the Raging Tuesday, if you catch my drift, Savannah Guthrie. The Raging blah, blah, blah Tuesday. That's my new nickname for people like Kamala Harris and Savannah Guthrie. But Trump tweeted out this week a article about, let's just say, some discrepancies with what happened in Benghazi and the bin Laden capture and the $152 billion that went to Iran in pallets of cash for some reason. But we never really understood why did that happen. And we never really understood why it wasn't done in a wire transfer and why it was sent in cash. And why did European allies have to work and do that as well to keep it all off the books or hush hush. So there was a story this week, and I'm not going to get into it because, again, I don't know if it's true, but Trump did tweet out about this. And Twitter yanked it down. The president of the United States, they're now putting warnings on things that he's tweeting. And this is what I want to say to these dummies that reside on the left who think they know everything, who are so arrogantly condescending about what they think they know. Because like our friend Dominic admitted, he only watched CNN and MSNBC. Whereas the people on the right, we know exactly what's actually happening. We weren't surprised at all when Robert Mueller said there was no Russian collusion with President Trump, because we knew the other side of the story. We knew the actual facts. Now, whether or not we'll actually get justice for what was done to Trump and his surrogates remains to be seen. But we already knew that was all BS. So anyway, the left is so arrogant that they think they know everything. And so, of course, President Trump tweeting out some crazy conspiracy theory about Benghazi and bin Laden is just nuts. Kind of like his tweeting about how he was spied on by Barack Obama and Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton and Comey and Clapper and Brennan. Kind of like that crazy conspiracy theory, right? Oh no, you dummies. You should know by now that if President Trump tweets something, he probably knows it happened. When will you people learn? I mean, I guess that's why Twitter and Facebook and YouTube are doing the most now to shut down any kind of opposition to them, because they need as many dumb people as possible to vote in less than 3 weeks. And speaking of voting, this week we had early voting start in Texas. And I was debating on, do I want to do it on election day? Do I want to do early voting? And I thought, you know what, let me just go and get it done. So in the morning, my sister told me, and my sister lives kind of Memorial Kirkwood area. For those people in Houston, you know that area. She said that at her early voting place, the line was like 200-300 people long. So, at least you got a good hour to wait, probably, which I thought, wow, that's a lot. 8 in the morning, 9 in the morning. I'm like, wow, that's a lot of people that early. And then I went to my area, which is in the Galleria area, and at 2 p.m, I had to wait at least 30 minutes. And I would say that, it looked like a lot of Trump voters, but you never know. Can't judge a book by its cover, as we've all learned. So I'm encouraged to see that, at least in Houston, people are taking the chance to early vote and are doing so in person and not taking the chance that their ballot will be lost in one of the drop boxes that the Democrats insist on having. And Greg Abbott lost that appeals court ruling this week. Last week I was so excited because I was like, yay, Democrats, one less way for the Democrats to cheat with these unsecured ballot boxes. Oh, they're fine. They're just like, it's like a post office, a blue post office box right in the middle of the street. It's a secure ballot site. No, it is not. The only way your vote will be counted is if you go in person, they make you show your ID and you sign. I'm assuming, I love that. I think that's new this year. Some signature verification, I think is great. Now I want to get into a little bit of, I'm so used to having 4 segments just to wax poetically, but this week I had only 2 of just Ange. But I want to get into some Rona news. Got to have some Rona news. And when Trump got the Rona and everyone said, oh, it's because he didn't wear a mask. He didn't wear a mask. Oh my God, see, stupid orange man. Well, let's see. This week, the CDC announced that 85% of Rona patients reporting wearing their masks always or often. Only a very small amount of people who got coronavirus didn't wear a mask or rarely wore a mask, like yours truly. So what does that tell you? It tells you what anybody with common sense could have told you from day one. A piece of paper and bandana, your arm, your t-shirt does not protect against an airborne aerosol-like virus that is 0.1 micrograms in size. And all of this is just political theater. They want to see how much can we control these dummies out here? Oh, I know what we can do. We're going to be real easy to see who we can control. Tell them that a mask, a piece of paper, is going to stop a virus. Even though when you look what virologists actually wear, doesn't really look like a little tiny surgical mask, does it? We've got these certain industries that are now booming. Plexiglass makers, mask makers. They're like, oh yes, let's keep this going forever. I'm just amazed, frankly. I mean, I know that the left gaslights. I know that they lie as a way of life, but I'm amazed at how stupid so many of our fellow Americans are. Like literally dumb. The reason surgeons wear a mask is to stop large bits of spit from coming out and infecting a wound or something like that. But now we know that the Rona is actually like an aerosol. And an aerosol is very tiny little particles. So if you think of it like that, it makes more sense that the smug virtue signaling mask wearers among us are getting the Rona because a mask doesn't work. These people are like, wait a minute, I got the Rona, but I wear my mask. I wear my mask wearing my Black Lives Matter shirt. How is this possible? But no one can out stupid Lena Hidalgo. And no one can out ineptitude Greg Abbott. So this week, I can't remember if it was this week or last week, but I'm just going to bring it up again. It doesn't matter. We had this, this magical threshold of 5% that we were supposed to reach of positive cases, which again is total BS, but whatever. Positive cases needed to be 5% before the bars could reopen. Well, Greg Abbott spoke from on high and he said, you know what? Yes, it's 5% statewide. You can reopen the bars at 50% because if there's 51% people in there, well, that's the Rona. You're all dead. But anyway, Lena Hidalgo said, oh, you know what? No, we're not going to reopen bars in Harris County because we want it at 2.5%. So her and that detestable mayor of ours, Sylvester Turner, keep moving the damn goalposts. And still, Greg Abbott will not lift the mask mandate. He has no cojones whatsoever. You know who does? Is Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis, Kristi Noem of South Dakota. The ones that gave the finger to all these little virtue signaling, mask-wearing Nazis. And the people whose science isn't science, but actually propaganda. But speaking of Greg Abbott, a little birdie has told me, and I cannot disclose who, but it is someone who knows. Let's just leave it at that. Someone connected. I said, we were talking about Abbott the other day, and I said, I'm just so disgusted with him. I'm so disappointed. I said, he's not going to win re-election. He's sitting on a 38% approval rating, maybe 35 at this point, going down more every day. And I said, whoever runs against him in the primaries, well-funded and has a chance of winning, is going to win. I said, I actually would like to see Alan West take him on. And my friend said, Abbott's not running again. I know this for a fact. So Abbott thinks he doesn't have to be accountable to voters anymore. So he thought he'd let his inner tyrant out, is what we're seeing. There's my timer. Did y'all hear my timer? That's my signal, everybody. This week has gone by so fast. Time is rushing by us. I didn't even get into my article this week, which was really good, by the way, and you should go read it. It's on angelasoapbox.com. But as I implore you every week, the left they steamroll us every day, and we have to steamroll right back. And my friend Dominic is right. Trump is the only one who is sticking it to the left like the left sticks it to us, and he's giving courage to other people, and God bless him for it. Didn't even get into the town hall and that Harpy Tuesday Savannah Guthrie and how George Stephanopoulos was asking the Peepaw what his favorite color was on ABC, but we'll have another week next week and another debate to talk about. Y'all take care of yourselves, love one another, say thank you to a police officer, and never, ever, ever let up on the left and get in their faces just like they get in ours. I'll see you next week, everybody. Bye.